I'm ready for my outing in the sun to the garden center. I'm looking for Heliotrope and sweet Alyssum. Those are both very fragrant annuals that I would absolutely include in any cottage style garden, and certainly in mine. Those are the top two that I would grow. They both bloom a long time. The Heliotrope will bloom for months and months. The sweet Alyssum sometimes will peter out, but if you shear it back and then feed it really well and water it well, it will pop back. The sweet Alyssum smells like honey to me, and the Heliotrope is like nothing else. It's just a fragrance unto itself, heady. If I were a bee, that would be the flower I would want to hang out on. And also they're really pretty colors. So the sweet Alyssum is from white to purples and pinks, and the Heliotrope can be white to deep purple. So very, very pretty. I'm ready to go, hands free. I'll go get those plants.
At the nursery, I found other annuals that were on my list for my cottage garden, including petunias and also marigolds. And as much as I love these yellow marigolds, I was in search of a lighter color of yellow, almost white. It's generally best to transplant annuals when they're small, not as big as these are, but with the proper care, they will adapt just fine. The next day, I learned that the nursery was going to have a sale on their annuals, so I scooted back over there and filled up on many more flowers than I had originally intended. This is Heliotrope Fragrant Delight, and it really lives up to the name. Some people think it smells like vanilla. I've underplanted it with sweet Alyssum snow crystals, and they make wonderful companions together. I love how the buds on the Heliotrope start in as a very deep purple, almost black, and then open to this lighter color purple. I find that this dark color purple often gets lost when planted out in the garden. It's very hard to see. It recedes into the distance. So I like to bring it up close to where I am, where I can really appreciate it. Also, having the Heliotrope here up close on the deck, it's easier for me to smell it frequently. My Cottagecore garden would not be complete without these two fragrant flowers, and I look forward to them each year. I've placed the zinnias on the sunniest corner of the deck, where their boldness both in color and in size fits well with the large leaves of the Darmera plant that grows in the edge of the pond. Now, I like mixed containers. However, certain types of plants, like these zinnias, I prefer to see in mass. They remind me of a field of zinnias in a galvanized pot. The zinnias bloom over many months, which means that on the plant there will always be all the stages of growth, from the tiniest little buds to the immature flowers opening up where you can barely tell what color that flower is going to be, and then to the long-lasting larger flowers, and even the fading flower heads that look almost antique in their coloring. They hold up so well to wind and rain that I just marvel at how long each flower lasts. I find that it's much easier to control the cultural conditions and the needs of a plant if they're planted in one pot instead of using mixed species. And zinnias certainly benefit from that because they need good airflow, room to dry out in order to discourage mildew. And if there are no plants around the base or clogging up the center, it's much better for them. The cultivar that I was able to find is Magellan Scarlet, Pink, and Cherry, and also Preciosa White. This is a morning glory, growing up from the soil below all the way up to the chandelier on the studio porch. Normally, I would rip out any morning glory I see, with good reason, because they are highly invasive. However, this was one of those times where I thought, I can keep a handle on this and appreciate the beautiful flowers and the romance of having this vine twining up over my head, and also take the time to really look at this plant and appreciate it. Across from the zinnias, next to my cat's scratching post, is a pot of snapdragons. This cultivar, called Twinnings, I believe I've said that right, is so old-fashioned looking. It's doubled and ruffly, and the colors seem antique to me. You can see that they are very floppy right now, and I am hoping that that is because I bought them so late in the season and they were already tall and top heavy. After I've pruned them back and they regrow, we'll see if they're more upright. Most of the flowers that I've purchased this time don't require any extra staking, so we'll see how these turn out. Down this shady deck, on the way to the woodland garden, I've placed another pot of heliotrope, and underneath this bench, 2 pots of begonias. I've put them into containers that I already had, and I find it really fun and challenging to use the containers that I have in my stock and then match them up with the plants that are available in the store at the time. Deeper in the woodland garden, in an expanse of green foliage, is a pot of begonias, brightly colored begonias. Some of them start very pale and then darken as they grow and open up. Out of view from the entrance is a second pot of begonias. These are Illumination cultivar, Salmon Pink and Apricot, and Nonstop Pink and Nonstop Sunset. They are nonstop. The colors make me feel like I'm in an exotic tropical location, maybe in Bali or somewhere in India. These bright colors against an otherwise green background. using fewer containers, to me, with the bright colors, makes each container feel so very special. And it's not that I'm against having a lot of flowers everywhere. It's just sometimes I like to have a restful garden and then a really strong focal point. I also find that this helps me truly appreciate a particular flower. And these tuberous begonias are just amazing. They go from very small buds into these big, billowy, satiny flowers that are so elegant and appear to be very delicate, but are sturdier than they seem. And in the sun, I have put 2 large pots filled with a mix of flowers. And when I do this, I still like to keep the types of plants to a minimum and the color scheme fairly tight. The colors are basically the primary colors of red, blue, and yellow, but I've adjusted them a little so the red is more of a cherry red going toward pink. The blue is lavender, and then the yellow is a pale, pale yellow. The snapdragon in the center provides some height. The lantana, which are these tiny flowers that cascade over the side and actually also act as a filler in the inside of the container. They are not fragrant, but their leaves are fragrant, and to me they smell like tomato leaves. There are several different colors of lantana. Some of them are very bright and also mixed so that they would be from apricot to pink and bright orange. But I wanted this color because I thought it was a good echo of the marigold, this French vanilla marigold. Actually, one of them's French vanilla and the other one is vanilla, but I can't really tell the difference. And those marigolds are called that not because they smell like vanilla, but because I guess the breeder thought that the color was like vanilla. The leaves of the marigold also are very fragrant, and I like the smell of both the lantana and the marigold. Cascading over the side are also some petunias. I've put 2 different cultivars in here. One is Surfinia, sky blue, and then the other one is a wave type of petunia, and it's a dark purple one. Now I have found that most petunias in this color and this type are pretty fragrant. All of the flowers in this container are so undemanding, and as long as they are kept watered and fed and then pruned to keep the flowers off of the spent flowers off of them, you'll find that they will just keep blooming all summer long. All the flowers in this container are so undemanding, and to me that's the essence of having a cottage garden, where they not only look effortless, but they are effortless. And on the other side of the path is a similar container, which also includes some hot pink geraniums. The few leftover plants have been put into simple pots, and they'll be put in the garden or wherever I feel I need a splash of color. Sometimes I'll set them near a hydrangea because those shrubs really do like a little extra water in the summer. So when I'm watering the pot, I can put some extra water on the hydrangea. As much as I love flowers, having them in my life, lots of flowers everywhere, there is something truly charming about a single pot with a single flower. I hope you enjoyed this tour of my Cottagecore annual containers. Until next time, keep dreaming in the garden.